Did you know that something as simple as breathing intentionally can help alter your body's chemistry and reduce stress? Or an immersion into ice bath, even for a few minutes, can help increase your resilience and focus throughout the day? Now, these techniques might sound intimidating, but they are powerful tools to help increase our physical wellness and mental wellness. Hello, and welcome back to the Gayu Lewis podcast. I'm your host, Gayu Lewis, a women wellness advocate and holistic coach, and I am passionate about empowering women to embrace holistic practices that elevate their health and vitality at all stages of life. On this journey, I'm here to bring you conversations with inspiring individuals who share their insights on wellness, resilience, and personal growth. Today, we have a remarkable guest joining us. Jennifer Chalouhi. Based in Dubai, Jennifer is a highly skilled personal trainer, rebound instructor, and an expert in both ice bath and breathwork coaching. Now, beyond her expertise, Jennifer is also a mother of three. Very hard to say. She's very, very hot. And an award-winning coach with a reputation for helping others tap into their fullest potential. She brings an inspiring blend of practical knowledge and heartfelt commitment to her work, empowering others to build resilience and reach their wellness goals. I am super thrilled to know about her personal journey and these transformative practices. So let's dive in. Jennifer, thank you for coming into the show today.
Gaia, thank you so much for having me. I love that introduction. I'm beyond grateful for it. Thank you so much. It's so sweet, so special.
Jennifer, before we get into, breath work and ice bath, tell me about your journey, your personal journey. How did you become a personal trainer or get into the whole fitness industry? Was it really something that you wanted to do, or was it by a fluke?
It's something I wanted to do.
Okay.
From a very young age, I was very athletic, I was very hyper, and I was always moving a lot from the age I can remember as early as 6. And as I go back and ask my mother, I'm like, was I always active? She goes, you always wanted to dance, you wanted to be a cheerleader. Anything that required movement, I was always doing it. As you get older though, and through high school, I would ask my dad, I don't know what I want to be. And then I said, what do you think of me becoming a personal trainer? Or no, actually at the time, physical education. Personal training was not popular back then. It was physical education. Dad, I'll work for a school. My dad was saying, that's not a bad idea, but why don't you go into business? Everyone's going into business. So being a young female in my family, I said, okay, you know what, let me do that. So I did that, but it never resonated with me. It never felt right. And one thing as I look back is what we're neglecting to do is listen to our gut, follow our passion, follow through. But instead, sometimes we're giving that power away. So I did go into marketing. I graduated with a bachelor degree and I specialized in communications and a minor in public relations. Did that from, believe it or not, from the age of 21 when I graduated, continued that until the age of 32. Never resonated with me. I was doing speeches, I was handling marketing departments, and I never enjoyed it. But the financial freedom from there was great. So my husband and I had two good incomes coming in. And it was at the age of 32, after having 3 children and still working in corporate, I made a decision and told my husband, I'm taking a sabbatical. We're doing okay right now. And I'm going to take a couple months off to see what I really want to do. And that's when I tapped in, sat with myself, did a bit of meditation and realized I'm going to be a personal trainer. I'm going to go into health and wellness. And at the time, it was just fitness.
Very, very interesting. And I know you won awards. You've been
Back then,
No,
I was hustling. I was deep. Yeah.
So what got you into breath work? Was it like that you suddenly stumbled upon it, or
I'm going to be
one experience that changed your life?
I'm going to try to be as transparent, as authentic about that question as possible. I was always in fight or flight. I was constantly, I can remember my whole life, reacting and acting towards every situation. And I couldn't understand why I was doing that. I just assumed I was a hyper person. And that's why I chose fitness, to get all that energy out of me that I was holding within, and I couldn't understand it. So I think the experiences that led me to where I am today, they were basically guides showing me the way. And I think I really tapped into it during COVID, which a lot of people tapped into it. I was stuck in America at the time. I couldn't get back to Dubai. The airport shut down. All I remember doing at the time was listening to meditative links on YouTube, meditative, nothing to do with breath work yet, but it kept saying in there, just breathe, just breathe. I got back to Dubai. I went to a networking event and a person came up to me, a breathwork coach. Oh my God, that memory right now. He said to me, I gave a good speech about health and wellness. And he said to me, have you done breathwork before? I said, no. He goes, I can see the pain in your eyes. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, you're holding on to a lot within. So whether he was a medium or he could read energy, it sat with me. I wasn't offended by it whatsoever, but I didn't understand what he said. But that was the seed that was planted. What is breathwork? And we're talking 2020, 2021, when I finally got back to Dubai and the airport's open. That's how I discovered breathwork personally before I took it professionally.
So what is breath work now, and how does it actually differ from any of the regular breathing exercises? The science, what's it?
with breathing exercises. Those are exercises to calm and relax you. You can find that through meditation and through yoga. Fantastic. If you're resonating to that, go to that. But breathwork is deeper than that. It's a term used covering all the vast diversities of breathwork that's out there. And breathwork is ancestral. It's dated back 5,000 years. You'll hear words like pranayama, which means life force. You'll hear circular breathwork, which is breathing through the mouth and out of the nose with no pausing. You'll hear the Wim Hof method. So there's so many different types, and there's holotrophic, where you deep breathe through the diaphragm and exhale deep through your heart chakras all the way through your throat and out of your mouth. It's fascinating the amount, and I haven't even covered half of them. There are thousands and thousands of different styles of breathwork, but one thing breathwork has in common, number one, it's free medicine. Number two, you can access it at any time.
If it's, I'm saying, if it's that accessible and that's easy, can everyone start doing breath work? Or of course you need a coach?
Yeah. You can start slowly by either going into YouTube and researching about it, buy a book, read about it, or hire a coach and understand it. Get the knowledge, get the foundation. What is it about? When you hire a coach, and I've become certified now in breathwork because I was so fascinated with what it has done. And it also took me back to a question I ask all my clients before they start the session with me. And I'm going to ask you, Gayu, this question. They respond with two answers. What is the first thing you did when you were born?
Right.
That's one of them that they say. Let me ask it again. What is the first thing you did when you were born?
I'm assuming cry.
You took your first breath.
Oh, I took
You
my first.
took your first.
Oh yeah.
You
I
took
don't
your
remember
first
too much. Yeah.
You took your first pranayama, your life force. What gave you that energy into life? It was your first breath, and then you cried.
Okay.
So the two obviously go hand in hand, and that's why I was saying people always answer with two. Half say cry, the other half think about it, and they're like, breath. And then that sits with them. And I'm like, that was your life force. And society, the noise, they took it all away.
Very, very deep and intense. But if someone wants to start breath work, what should they look out for? And anything, are there any people who are not supposed to do breath work? People have asked about any of
Okay.
those people, medical conditions, should they
Okay.
stay away?
I think anyone can do breath work. You can start it gradually. You don't have to go intensely into this circular breath work or the Wim Hof. You don't have to do those styles. You can do the box breathing, which is 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out, 4 seconds hold, and repeat that. And I always recommend anyone that tries to do a bit of breathing through the nose and out of the mouth, or just through the nose, to be sitting down. So anyone that has maybe a high blood pressure or gets dizzy, or if anyone has any insulin resistance where they might feel faint or dizzy, just gradually go into it. Everyone can do it, and you can do it with 3 breaths. You're feeling overwhelmed? That first breath going in and then slowly exhale it out, that's for a beginner. Just do that and immediately they'll feel relaxed and rested.
A lot of people say when you get up in the morning, always, from a grounding perspective, they always say sit and breathe. Are you a believer in that? Does it actually help?
I do, because the moment we wake up in the morning, sometimes some people, the first thing they do, they reach for their phone.
Oh, yep.
They get up and they think of everything, their problems, what they need to do, things they need, and then they think of their worries. So if you can just connect to your breath first thing in the morning, do a couple of breathing, 8 seconds in, 8 seconds out, and that's it. And what you're doing, you're activating your parasympathetic nerves. Because from the moment you wake up, you could be in a sympathetic state, which is your fight or flight state, or what I like to call your act and reacting state of being. I no longer am in that state. I've left that state a long time ago, acting and reacting, or that fight or flight. And anytime I return to that state, I reconnect to my breath work and to my breathing to activate my parasympathetic nerves, which is your rest and digest state of being. This is a state of being that was our God-given birthright from the time we were born. So getting up in the morning and doing breathing exercises before will set your mind and set your day to have a perfect day. And if you disconnect from having a perfect day, return to your breathing. Just a couple of seconds in, a couple of seconds out. Reset mindset with breathing. I tell my daughter, she's 17 years old, she'll graduate this year. She's under a lot of pressure with her SATs. And I always tell her, honey, just take one deep breath, one deep breath. She's not a professional. She hasn't done breath work with me yet, but she sees me doing it. And she's once in a while, I'll catch her taking a deep breath. She's like, I'm going to do what my mom says. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to reset mindset. Seeing her do it makes me very proud.
Interesting. Now, it actually leads me to a very interesting question. At what age can children start doing deep breathing? Is there a certain age? Like you said, from the first time we are born, the first thing that we do is we breathe. But these specific techniques, can they help children? Because nowadays, a lot of children are diagnosed with ADHD, or, there is a lot of things that keep them very agitated. I think technology on one end keeps them, like my son has got blue screen syndrome, and he's like super agitated when he's got an iPad. So does breath work help with these children?
Absolutely. Honestly, if I can go back in time, all my 3 children are grown up now. When my daughters were having temper tantrums, I didn't know what to do back then. I felt anxious, I felt stressed, and I felt overwhelmed, witnessing experience. So I didn't know how to handle a temper tantrum. If I could go back and I looked down, I would have sat down with my daughter, held her hands, maybe held her and said, let's breathe together. You can start as early as 2. They might not understand what you're doing, but imagine you say, sometimes we even told her kid, let's count to 10. Let's count to 10 backwards, 10, 9. It makes you breathe. 8, 7, 6, and counting backwards, you're already calming the child down. So for ADHD or anything a child is going through, I feel, in my experience, this all can be cured with free medicine. It's non-invasive, it's non-pharmaceutical, and it's a method called breathwork. It can help heal everyone, but they have to practice it. You have to do it. You can't just do it once to see the effects. You'll feel it, you'll feel good, but it has to be a practice, not an exercise. A practice in your life is a lifestyle.
So basically, make it as part of your lifestyle, which in general, like you go brush every day, you kind of breathe every day, like intentional breathing.
Yes.
Okay. But generally, people have this normal statement, which I think even I use. I have no time. I am so busy. Now, these individuals who are so busy, how can they incorporate breath work into their daily life? Can they do it if they don't have the time to just sit in the morning and then do the grounding exercise, or to intentionally sit and breathe at that time? Are there any other places or any other moments in their life they can actually do breath work?
Absolutely. Before a meeting, before your dinner, before going to bed. This can actually change. If you're a busy person and you're multitasking and you're overwhelmed with life, you can reset your life and you can create your reality, all with reconnecting to yourself from within. What breathwork can do for everybody who is feeling overwhelmed or running around or in a state of fight or flight that they feel has been their whole life is reconnect to their breathing. That in return will not only disconnect you from any anxiety or stressors, but also bring to the surface any traumas you might have experienced and any dramas you face in the workforce, in the corporate world, with your boss, with anybody. You'll become a new person just by doing that. But it takes a lot of practice because I was in the corporate world. I was triggered. I reacted to my boss. I got upset. It sat with me. I went to bed angry. My spouse will say something. My children will say something. So I take breathwork with me literally it goes on 24/7. 24/7. And if I disconnect, I reconnect to it. Anytime I'm feeling insulin spike, if I'm feeling high blood pressure, if I'm having a hot flash, which we'll get to that later. I am not having them, by the way. And if I feel one coming on, I'll be like, no, I'm going to take a deep breath. You don't exist in my world. I know it sounds weird, but I'm living that life of bliss where my world, I'm witnessing it sometimes crashing around me, being Lebanese as well, and witnessing what my family is going through, what relatives that are in Lebanon are going through, what the world is going through. I sit with myself and I continue to heal from within, hoping it's going to help heal the world from without. But it takes all of us to do this, not just me.
Very interesting. You actually touched on my next question, which was, I'm a women wellness, coach, and very, very passionate about women wellness, specifically during the menopausal phase. How does breath work now help women? Of course, women have this rushing women syndrome where they're always trying to wear 20,000 hats and be the number one in everything that they do. Automatically puts stress on them. I'm assuming breath work anyways should be their top priority to help calm them down. But during this phase of life, when there is such a large hormonal roller coaster that happens, how can they incorporate breath work? And is there any specific breath work or time frame that they should give on an everyday basis to actually see benefits?
If a woman is feeling overwhelmed, and being a woman myself, I understand those stages and the cycles we're all going through. We're a very complex human being. And from the age of 12, going on to 15, all the way through, this is a cycle that constantly repeats itself. The stressors that come on through PMS. Then you have perimenopause, and then you have menopause coming up. I feel breathwork, again, is another free medicine. If women can just educate themselves and learn more about it, not just through what I'm saying in this podcast, but I hope I'm planting a seed to tell them. I'm a witness to the age that I've been. I don't even know what perimenopause was. Did I have it? I won't know because I was doing the breathwork. We'll get to ice baths, of course, later. I was doing the inner work I knew because I tried to seek help from pharmaceutical companies. I tried to seek help from my doctor, and nothing was resonating with me, and it wasn't helping. And I hear a lot of women going on what they feel is best for them, hormonal
Replacement therapy.
Yeah. And if that's resonating with you, I am a firm believer. Do what you feel is right for you. In my time and place in life right now, I want to encourage women, please try to take the holistic approach and try that. See if breathwork will work for you. Do a couple cold showers. We'll again tap into that. All of that has reset everything that I'm going through that I'm not really experiencing right now.
You just made a lot of women jealous, Jennifer. Yeah. Even if everyone's like, even if I can look 20% like how Jennifer looks and says there is nothing that perimenopause does, I think people will be very, very happy.
But I will say, I when I get triggered, I acknowledge it. I bring it to awareness. I don't hold on to it. I question it. When I'm feeling overwhelmed, I do the same thing. When I'm feeling, like I mentioned earlier, a hot flash, I do the same thing. I try not to control it. I surrender to it. I think that's the right word I'm looking for. I surrender to it. If all women can just surrender to it and not label themselves with it, I think we'd be a lot happier. Our husbands will, our friends will. We'll be less triggered and living a life in our parasympathetic state of being, which is our birthright of resting and digesting through all the experiences we're going through.
Yeah, because I think because we are not in that state, we put a lot of pressure on our gut anyways, and
And I think
triggers
that's
so
when
many.
it
Yeah.
starts to manifest itself.
Yeah. Now, getting into ice bath, because you said that breath work goes hand in hand with ice baths. They're generally associated with biohacking. Now, but what is the connection here with our health, and why is it becoming so popular?
Everyone's doing it,
Yeah.
right? It's so diverse. I have to sum it up really quickly. Number one, if you have chronic injuries or chronic pain, I suffered 8 years of chronic back pain and I didn't know what to do. Went to every doctor, every physio, every rehabilitation. Ice bath cured that. I was having anxiety. I've faced downs, sadness, mild depression. Ice baths cured that. I went through a lot of things at the age of now 50, of a lot of experiences that I did not handle very well. Ice is used as a stressor to help you deal with stressors. And everything I went through was a stressor. The chronic back pain was a stressor. Overwhelming with life and the noise outside of ourselves was a stressor. How do you deal with that things? And that's when you bring non-pharmaceutical, non-invasive type of medicines, methods. Ice bath is one of them. Reduction in inflammation, stronger mindset, resilience, physically, mentally, emotionally, and it also taps in spiritually. It brings things from within to the surface because that ice is painful. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not easy. It's not easy. I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy. It is not easy. But my God, does it build that resilience in your mind that you can tackle anything outside of yourself in life? It could be both. I think and I can actually answer that. A lot of my clients come to me because they're curious. Curiosity. A lot of that comes to my doorstep because of the curiosity. And then when I say to them, I mention to them saying, there's 4 things you can get out of this experience: a mental experience, a physical experience, an emotional experience, or a spiritual experience. Some of them are like, I'm here for the physical. I want a decrease in inflammation. I can't sleep at night. I have sleep apnea. I'm stressed. I'm anxious. I want the ice to be able to cure all these things. When they go in, it becomes emotional. When they go in, it becomes mental. When they get out, it becomes physical. The endorphins come in and their metabolism is boosted. They're energetic, they're hyper. And then spiritually, something else comes in. Someone comes through to them that they haven't reached out to, or a loved one that passed. It's incredible what the ice does because it's an extreme stressor. You don't have time. You're in there. You got to breathe. So you're tapping into 2 things: breath work and resilience. And combining those 2 together, magic happens.
You spoke about time. What's the ideal time that somebody spends, and what's the temperature, just to give people an idea?
I've done a lot of research. For women, we're recommended to be in ice that's 16 degrees Celsius. Okay. For men, but I'm not even going to the sessions yet that I do. So, and for men, because if you're going to be doing an ice bath 3 to 4 times a week, for women, it's recommended 16 degrees Celsius because you're already spiking your cortisol levels. You're under a stressor, and women alone, we're stressed human beings. It comes with the territory of our vast, complex personalities.
Yeah.
Why would you add more stress to that and sit in an ice bath? I wouldn't recommend more than, so if you're in 16 degrees Celsius, no more than 10 minutes for women. It can reach anywhere from 3 minutes, 6 minutes, no more than 10 minutes. I wouldn't exceed. It's too much stress on the body. And hypothermia, you want to keep yourself be able to return back to your normal temperature. For men have such a strong resilience on their threshold that they can sit within 3 degrees Celsius, 5. They say no more than 10, if I've done my research. But everyone is tapping into all of it. When I do a session, my sessions are 3 degrees Celsius. I go extreme. I want you to come and experience the extremity. I ask my clients, just give yourself 30 seconds in 3 degrees Celsius. Just give yourself 30 seconds. What happens in those 30 seconds? Within 20 seconds, you activate your parasympathetic nerves. When I encourage the client to connect to their breathing, when you connect to their breathing, you disconnect from your fight or flight sympathetic nerve. You activate your parasympathetic nerves, and all those neurons in your brain, dopamine comes through, and you find yourself in a rested, digested state of being in a stressor and its extremities.
Interesting, because when I did my first ice bath, I think it was all because I think there were a lot more people around, and I think it was very exciting. And I'm someone who just cannot stand cold. That's why I became a chef, because I'm a happy person with 40 degrees. But it was a very funny experience because I actually felt very comfortable in the ice bath. To an extent, surprisingly, when my husband did the ice bath, who is a guy who actually takes cold showers, he couldn't sit even for a few seconds. Why do you think that would have been?
I think his monkey mind came in. He should have shut that down. The monkey mind and fear factor probably stepped in, and he gave his energy over to that. But if you can tap in deeper and realize, okay, I've got this, you mentally prepare yourself. So before you get into an ice bath, you need to do the process before going in, which is the breath work. Whatever you decide to do, Wim Hof is very popular with this.
Yeah.
He does the breath work that, 30 breaths in a row. You hold your exhale at the end. You hold that for a minute. Then you take another deep breath. Then you hold that for 15 seconds. He recommends that one because it basically puts your body in that rested state of being. That's just one method. Any method works. Maybe your husband wasn't well prepared. That's it. But he could do it. He needs to try again. Shut down that monkey mind. Turn off the fear factor. He might have been thinking too much.
Can children do ice baths?
Mm-hmm. My youngest is a 6-year-old who now sits 4 minutes. The 6-year-old that first tried my ice bath was 10 seconds, in and out. But then he was just so determined for a 6-year-old. He's like, I need to see what this is all about. So when the 6-year-olds go in, they go up to the waist.
Okay.
I think taking them down, it might be traumatic for them yet until they mature and understand the process of what the ice baths do for them. So, but I've had as young as 6.
Okay, interesting. What should someone watch out for? Like I said, social media has created this whole thing of ice baths. Any underlying conditions that people should not even attempt doing an ice bath?
Number one, health conditions. Definitely check with your doctor. If you have any health issues, not recommended. If you have high blood pressure, if you have epilepsy, any type of health condition that might not, complement the ice, those are really the basics. Those are the first. And then I always ask clients, before they come in, what is your health history? When they say, I'm perfectly fine, then we go into the ice bath. I haven't had anyone with epilepsy. I haven't had anyone with any heart conditions. Those are the people that should be careful and maybe just start with cold showers.
Okay. And you said it actually helps a lot with inflammation. So people who have body aches or anything, if someone has had like an accident, surgery or anything, is ice bath recommended?
I think post 8 weeks after that surgery, I would highly recommend it. Again, check with your doctor, but it helps. What it does is it helps the blood flow into your cells. So you change your biochemistry, you change your cell production. It just taps into that and the blood flows so much better and it's not restricted. And that's what we need to do. And that's why I do the ice baths personally for myself as well. It gets the blood flow to flow 10 times more than it does just sitting here.
Did ice bath exist in the previous times? Like, did our ancestors do it?
It did. It did. I believe so. I didn't look back to find out, but this as well as breathwork has from a long time ago, whether they would jump into lakes or they jump into, where are we talking? We're talking in Alaska or into an ocean, a cold ocean where they break the ice. Apparently this has been going on for centuries. Yes.
Okay. And it's just kind of resurfaced as a biohack.
It had to come. It had to come to the surface, right? I think the world has been struggling post-COVID, and I think people are trying to find a place of free medicine, and this is what it is. So it has become very popular, but because it works.
Ice bath, although it's very popular, like you said, it's not easy. You want to test people. But what's your advice for someone who's going to try it for the first time?
Mm-hmm. I ask them their why. Why are they here? What is your why? Most of them will say I have back pain. Some will say I have sleep apnea. I'll be like, great. Another one says I want to bring my pain to the surface. I want to feel more. And I know that the extremities of the ice is going to help me do that. So then we just prepare them and they're ready. What I love is I don't force anyone to do an ice bath. I wait for them to come. And when they do, I come with open arms because I want them to experience what I've experienced.
Is there any particular time of the day that an ice bath should be done? Can it be done in the night also before your bed? Does it alter your
You might be a little bit hyper. I do ice baths now at night because I do have a threshold. I built a threshold for it. So if you're a beginner, I'd recommend the ice baths during the day. You're gonna have a higher metabolism. You'll have more energy. It'll boost you throughout your day, and you have good dopamine, good hormonal balance throughout the day. So I would recommend beginners, morning,
Okay.
afternoon. Let the sun be out so you can warm up properly. Advanced, doesn't matter. I'm an advanced. I'll do it at midnight. I'll do it at 3 a.m. It doesn't matter. I haven't, but I have done it at 9 p.m. and I'd go to bed at 10 like a baby.
I just want to increase, just understand that bit in general. Nowadays there's lots of another thing that people take ice cold showers. There's this gadget that you fill ice cubes in it and hang it on your shower.
I'm tempted to get that. Ice cubes.
Does it have a similar effect? I'm assuming on a lower scale, but then still have the same effect?
It does.
Okay.
It's not as extreme. So when you're sitting in ice, it's more extreme because it touches the skin. When you're in a shower and you have the thing above you with the ice cubes in it, it's kind of dispersing itself all over the place. So it basically will still give you the good vibes. It still decrease inflammation, but not as quickly, I believe, as an ice bath would. It still has just on a smaller, I'd call it a smaller scale.
Then you've got these cryotherapy chambers where you just go into this.
I've done it.
Yeah. How is that different from an ice bath?
They gradually build the cold, so it's not extreme. So the cold is gradually built. You step inside the chamber, they close the door, you're inside, they allow you to wear gloves and feet so that you don't burn. The ice in there it'll burn your hands or your feet. And you stay there for 3 minutes and then they get you out. You're gradually building a threshold towards it, but it's not as extreme again as getting into an ice bath. There's more fear getting into an ice bath because immediate.
Are there any long-term benefits of actually combining both breath work and ice bath? Like you said, you get in, you've got to focus on your breath at that time so that you're comfortable in the water. What are the long-term benefits?
Combining the two together, it'll help you in the long term so you stay in a rested and digested state of being where your well-being is at the top priority of your life. So if you combine the two, definitely, it'll take your life into a very emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually balanced state of being. And you can actually heal your traumas and your dramas and your stressors and anxiety through that, because that's not going anywhere. It's always going to be there. A trauma could pop up of an experience you had as a child, or a drama could happen in front of you of someone you love or care about. A stressor happens, whether it's just a fender bender or a car accident. Anxiety, something happened. You know what I mean? All of these things. So combine breath work and ice baths to that, you'll be able to nail it like with no issues. You'll face it head on.
Amazing. Now, just again focusing on the women wellness aspect. Now, how does ice bath particularly help women? Does it have like a special benefit towards women?
The first thing I want to say is mental resilience. We need that as women. We need the mental resilience. It's good to break down. It's good to get emotional. We need to be, but we need to be strong for those around us and for ourselves. It definitely builds mental resilience. It's number one. Women, our body holds the score, right? We hold a lot of emotions within us, and we're very emotional, highly emotional, sensitive human beings. We were given that gift.
Yeah.
I call that a gift. We're able to bear children because we have that gift. Ice baths will help you tap in and bring out all those emotions to the surface so you no longer have to carry them with you. Ice baths will help you deal with your different cycles and your different stages through life, through every decade. I'm utilizing that now to help me get through my 50s. And I'm finding that this is going to be a piece of cake. I will have my ups and downs, but I'll reconnect what I know, the knowledge and the foundation I've gained through breathwork and ice bath. And I want to encourage a lot of women, find out more about it. Find out more about non-invasive, non-pharmaceutical methods. Just find out if something taps in or something feels good, try it out and ask yourself, how did that make me feel? Do that. You'll be able to go into every decade, age as a woman graciously.
Is there an age limit post which you should not do ice baths?
Great question. I had a 74-year-old in my ice bath. She definitely debunked me because when she came through, I asked her, I always check everyone's age, and I asked her for her health history. She says, no, I've been athletic my whole life. My mom is 70. I can't get my mom into an ice bath. She doesn't have the foundation or the history or that mental threshold to be able to handle it. So I'll give her maybe a cold shower. We'll go into a cold pool. Let's start with her on that. But this 74-year-old, I don't think there's an age limit. She proved me there is not an age limit. Health history is good. Mental history is good. Anyone can do it. Any age can do it.
Very interesting. I was just trying to understand if my mom can actually go into an ice bath, but I don't think she has the mental resilience anyways to
Neither does mine, yeah.
go into.
And that's okay. Let's find something else for them. So for my mom, I give her breath work.
Okay.
I get her to breathe.
Interesting. You've coached so many people. You've probably done both breath work and ice bath as well. Any particular clients of yours, or any instances that that come to your head where this actually people have seen like a big transformation in the way they were looking at their life, and now they're looking at their life differently?
Ice baths and the breath work and the experiences they've had with me. I've had one woman last week that came to me. She's a highly strong, highly anxious, constantly stressed out human being. A couple days after the session with me, she woke up and she said, everything went away. All my worries and all my problems and everything felt so heavy on my shoulders. They're gone. I went to work lighter, happier, less emotional. That was a big win for me. I've had women that are trying to get pregnant, or I have women that get triggered by a family member or their children, and they're constantly reacting or yelling, or they're angry. I bear witness to this, that they come back to me, they're like, I'm not angry anymore. That makes me so happy. They're mentally stronger. They're physically better. They're emotionally resilient. And then they've tapped into traumas that maybe needed to be released, emotional baggage they've been holding on to. They say it's gone. And then they come back because they're like, I want that again. I want that medicine again, whatever you did. And sometimes they feel a wind of something coming back, and they're aware that, okay, I need to address this. It's wonderful to witness, by the way.
Amazing. I have one more question, just came to my head. Now, a lot of people see these ice baths. Can people do ice bath by themselves, like fill that tub with ice and do it? Or should they always go to a coach to actually do ice baths?
People are going to go on YouTube. Maybe I hope they'll educate themselves if they don't want to get a coach or hire a coach or a friend that's a coach to take them through it, or someone that's done it. I would really, really recommend to get someone that's done it to help you or understand or educate yourself. Education is power, right? Power is key. If you want to do it on your own and you stay in too long, It's like having a warm bath. Don't fall asleep in it. So I think the same advice is if you're going to have a cold ice bath, don't stay too long in it, and understand the repercussions if you do. Understand that don't jump into a hot shower after a cold shower. You have to return to your body's normal state of temperature just by doing some jumping jacks or some Wim Hof methods of, moving around and have your body return to its natural state. I just think a person just should just gain the knowledge. Don't just do it.
Yeah, so just don't see what you see on social media and then
Gosh,
try it
don't.
out.
It's like, when they say that title, that caption, don't try this at home, same thing. It's not a cliche.
We spoke a lot about ice bath. Now I want to know about your first experience. How was that dip?
I saw it on social media. I, it's a true story. I'm always fascinated with things that are extreme, and I tend to gravitate towards extreme things. I've been active my whole life. I've climbed ropes all the way to the top. I've skinned my knees from fast rollerblading. I've jumped over, and then when you're on social media and you see these ice baths, and I've been in cold plunges, I've done cryo, that physically made me feel good. But when I saw the mental barriers of what people were going through on social media in that ice bath, that planted a seed in me, and I was like, what is that part? The physical, okay, I get the physical, but they're crying, they're angry, they're being forced sometimes to stay in and tap into their breathing. And then when they do that, the magic happens and they're sitting there calm and rested and digested. I was inclined to try it. And that's when I did. I went to a session, I saw the ice, and it was a lot of ice. And we had the temperature, 3 degrees Celsius. The most incredible thing happened. Oh, stepped into the ice bath, thinking it was going to be cryo, thinking it was going to be a cold shower, thinking it was going to be a cold bath. It wasn't. It was painful. So I felt pain. And then that pain tapped me into my childhood. Oh, some traumatic experiences I experienced as a child. All that came to the surface. And what I realized is I was holding all that in, carrying it with me like a prisoner, but not showing it to the outside world. I was sitting with it in my own personal life, taking it out on people, getting triggered. When I sat in that ice, after 3 minutes, by the way, so my first sitting was 3 minutes. Got back out, went back in for 5 minutes. Got back out, went back in for 10 minutes because I wanted more. The pain, the extremity, and we're not feeling our pain enough. So that's why I always mention ice baths will either tap into your physical, your mental, your spiritual, or your emotional. For me, it was emotional, it was spiritual, it was mental, and it was physical. I tapped into all four in the ice bath, but the cryo and the cold plunges and the ice showers did not do for me. They just physically made me feel good. But the ice bath, it tapped into something very intense, brought it to the surface. And what I loved is I forgave that experience, or that traumatic experience I experienced, and I forgave it. And I just go through life now knowing I was a witness to an experience, not a victim to this experience. And it changed my life. And I hope this can change lives for other women that maybe play victim to a trauma is a trauma, whether it's big or small. And I hope women that have had something that has hurt them or brought them pain, that they can bring it to the surface and they find something, a method that can help them. Ice baths for me, breathwork for me, did both of that.
Very, very beautiful. Very beautiful. It actually led me to another question while you were speaking. So when people, try, like you said, you had this experience where you felt the emotional element. Can sometimes people, while sitting in the ice bath, still suppress these feelings that come up?
They don't stay in it long when they do that because the pain is too much, so they get immediately out. If there's a blockage, yes, absolutely. They'll get out. Okay, so let's take a client. I've had a client that did that. Most of the men are doing that. They just go in and then they get out and they feel good and they're gonna do a bicep curl, they're gonna do some push-ups. They haven't tapped into the potential of the ice bath because they're being blocked, I believe, or their monkey mind comes in and they're in there more for the competitive aspect of ice baths. So it really depends on the person. It also depends on the coach. Some of the coaches will just take you through the mental experience, mental resilience. I'm the type of coach I want to tap into everything. Just bring it, give me it all, because I'm a human being that's experienced it all, spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I get some of my male clients and I tell them, I go, just go somewhere. Some of them connect to their mothers that have passed. Some of my male clients, they're crying. Some have had divorces, ugly divorces. Another male client, he did tap into his emotional state and he let it all go. His life is, if he's watching this, he's going to know I'm talking about him, but I won't say names. His life is transformed. He's happy. I think everyone. And those that don't tap into that, it's just the monkey mind. It's coming in the fear factor, not able to let go, not able to surrender yet. That also takes a practice.
That's why I just wanted to ask, because a lot of people tend to generally just show that straight face that, yeah, nothing, I'm absolutely fine, that did nothing to me.
And there are people like that, and that's okay. They're not either, I hate to say the word they're not ready, but they're not ready. They will be. I wasn't ready. I did cryo, I did cold baths, but something had called me towards these ice baths. I was ready. I was ready to feel my pain and bring it to the surface because I already experienced the physical, the mental resilience through the cryo and through the cold baths and through the showers. Now I wanted an ice bath, and it's extreme. It's a highly extreme stressor.
You'd mentioned that people should do ice bath 3 times a week in general, but keeping time in mind, busy schedules. What is the minimum? Like in a month, is it like twice a month or at once a week is like mandatory? What would we say the frequency should be?
If you're not able to get into an ice bath or order the ice, I mean, it does take a process. It is a process, and they're very expensive to buy. A chiller, all of these things are a process. Just do the ice, the shower, do the cold shower. But if you have a bathtub at home and you can fill it and you can make your own ice cubes at home. So now I take my protein shake bottles. Once it's empty, I fill them and I make block ice. I can now make 10 kgs worth of ice. And it's just enough right now with the weather getting better that I'm sitting in 16 degrees Celsius, exactly what I want as a woman, just to give me all the good vibes and the metabolism boost and the correct dopamine hit and the hormonal balance that I need and the mindset that I need. It's really entirely up to the person how many times they want to do an ice bath. I don't think there's too much. So I tend to do them once a week, twice a week. My lifestyle is very busy. People that come and do it once a month is excellent because their lives are busy. It's entirely up to the person, and it's also up to the person, their priorities. Is ice baths and breathwork a priority for them? It's a priority for me because I've seen what it's done to my life and the lives around people that have been around me.
Okay. So take out time for yourself.
Just take out time.
Where can listeners actually learn more about your work and connect with you? If they want to try one of this ice bath and breathwork experience, how do they reach you?
I'm heavily involved on social media, which is Instagram. Instagram is my biggest platform. So Jennifer Fit on Instagram, and everything is there. And I do have some extra pages called 123 Just Breathe and my rebounding classes, which are now online. But Jennifer Fit is the hub. It's the main account. You can find me there. I'm always answering DMs.
Do you share your banana pudding recipe there?
I do. It's under famous recipes or something like it is under there. It is.
I know.
Have you made
everyone loves? No, I've seen it, and I know that you make an amazing banana pudding
Thank you. I even tell people where to go. Go to Spinny's to get the vanilla pudding. Go to Shorterms to get the whipping cream. Like I tell people exactly specifically if you're in Dubai where to get everything. Because Dubai, everything's spread out. Like you can't find in one-stop shop.
Before we close this podcast, there is the last segment of the podcast, which I call it the 1%. 99% of the podcast all about women wellness, but men are a part of our lives too. So this last segment is dedicated to them. What is your 1% advice to the men in our lives? What can men do better to support women through their journey of life?
I think men are trying their best to understand us. They're giving us the support they need. And most men try not to fix things and more listen to us. I think if men continue that journey, and also if men can also bring their emotions to the surface, women will have a lot more in common in conversations to be able to feel safe with a man. I think men's top priorities is to just continuously make us feel safe so we can come to them, we can lean on them, we can get the emotional support from them, the mental resilience that men have, we can learn from them. And some of the men that I've met and my husband who's been amazing in his own journey, I've witnessed men are giving us that support because they're understanding. It's not just about learning, but they're understanding us. We're very complex human beings. They're not there to figure us out. They're just there to understand and support us.
Men, did you hear that? You actually got a plus point today from somebody who says you're actually doing a good job. So well done. That's a wrap for today. I hope you've got your, that moment that pushes you to go and try an ice bath or a breath work. And do let us know how your first experience was. Until next time, menopause. Why pause? Let's play.